Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. As always, a free way to support the channel is by leaving a like, by leaving a comment, or by subscribing if you have not already done so. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Excuse me beforehand as well if you hear any annoyance in my voice. A lot of the news in the last 24 hours has been quite stupid. That's the easiest way of really putting it. There's a lot of, it's not even pushback that's happening. We see a very evident power struggle happening right before our eyes, directly across the cryptocurrency space and the space of money around the world. You'll see what I'm talking about. This is what I said. Sorry if I sound annoyed at any point while I'm going over the news. To start things off, prices are doing pretty well. For those of you not looking at the screen, it says XRP explodes to $1 as altcoin surge. I think yesterday evening, XRP went to $1.03 or 4 cents, depending on where you look. I thought about posting that little snarky thing that I found a while ago with someone saying that XRP would never go over $1 again, but I was like, no, it's completely fine. XRP is doing extremely well, as are many other altcoins. This is based off of the news that XRP, there's now a second company in Asia who is going to be using XRP for remittances, and even weirder, like this is like the 5th or 6th actually in line, but for some reason, the last 2 bits of news have had some major effect on the price, even though there are and were already companies who are using XRP for money movement. It says Ethereum has burned $100 million in fees since EIP 1559 has taken effect. Ethereum's London hard fork, a long-awaited network upgrade that includes a measure to reduce the supply growth of Ether, went live just last Thursday. It's barely been a week. Wow. Since the hard fork, over $100 million worth of Ether has been burned or taken out of circulation, helping fuel a price increase from $27.25 to $32.30, according to data from Nomics. The London upgrade featured 5 code changes, but the most discussed was the burning of the coins, altering the transaction fee structure for the network. Instead of gas fees going directly to the miners that process and validate transactions, a base fee would instead go to the network and promptly be destroyed. There's a lot to unpack here. I don't even know where to actually begin. $100 million worth of Ether over the course of 7 days is monstrous. I don't think anyone really foresaw this actual level of coin destruction for the Ethereum network or for Ether. This potentially means if we can do $100 million in a week, after 10 weeks, we would have burned $1 billion worth of Ether. I know that Ether's market cap or some is like, what was it, 700 billion or something like that, but that's still an enormous amount. Like that completely outdoes every other coin who's been trying to burn and or send their money to another address so that it can no longer be accessed. That's the first point. Second, Ethereum is still incredibly undervalued. I was having a discussion with a friend yesterday about Ethereum's price and where I think it's going to go. And we are barely even scratching the surface of where we previously were before this upgrade even took place and before $100 million worth of Ether were to never ever be seen again. I'm still expecting very high prices for Ether sometime this year and into the actual future. Like this burn won't stop, especially as the network continues to have more usage on it. The third part is, and I've seen a lot of people, we were just discussing this yesterday. For those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, I'm a bit more active there because it's easier for me to make a post on Twitter than it is to always, make an 8-second video about what's currently going through my head. Ethereum's transaction fees are out of control. I posted a screenshot of it yesterday. I think they were $111. Sure. And then I tried a couple of minutes later to do another transaction and it went up to $125. And I just kind of sat there thinking, so the way that now correct me if I am incorrect, that a lot of this works is that miners kind of set the fee for the transactions. You can usually pay a bit more for a transaction to go through. And this is why on the chart that you even see that I posted on Twitter, you can have like a slow transaction, a medium transaction, or a very fast transaction. Obviously, if you pay more for the transaction, it goes through a lot quicker. There was news, even we've had this news for a while, maybe since 2019, when something similar to EIP 1559 was first proposed, the idea of making Ethereum deflationary or not having, whatever amount of coins going through the network. And a lot of the people who are mining Ethereum, now, once again, I'm talking very candid here just so I can kind of get this all out of my head so you can all really understand exactly what's going on. Part of the proposal was that the people who secure the network, the people who are mining the coins, a portion of their paycheck, if you will, for securing the network would simply be destroyed. A lot of them were not too excited about it, and I think that's even why before we just had this network upgrade go through, I think there was like a 62% consensus on the network or something like that, before it actually happened. If I'm incorrect, please correct me, because I'm pretty sure a lot of them were like, no, I don't want our paycheck to be burned. This is also why we see Ethereum moving towards complete proof of stake because of things like this. What I think is currently happening, I do not know, as I am not one of these people, but if the past is anything to tell us about what's happening right now, I think that people who are mining Ethereum are actually quite upset that this is happening, and they're raising the cost of actually having transactions go through the network so that they still make their cut. Because previously, before, Ethereum transactions cost, the best time this year, I think it was around $2 for a transaction. There was once it was like $7, and even for $14, I was like, you know what? I understand there's a lot of network usage. This is when like it wasn't the ICO craze. There was something that was happening earlier this year that really made prices skyrocket. I was like, you get it? It's fine. I understand. Sure. But what I think is currently happening is these people believed that they'd be losing out on a huge amount of money that would have otherwise gone to them. They're raising their transaction fee to make it more prohibitive to actually use, and at the same exact time making sure that they also line their own pockets. If the burn rate is 50%, goes to the network to be burned, then the other 50% goes to the people who are validating the network. If you raise the transaction fee to $115, well, they're making $55 as opposed to even the $3.50 that they were previously making before. It's really insane. I've seen a couple of people across multiple different venues tell me that there are upgrades coming. We had the news about the other upgrade yesterday, something about some other side chain or something like that, but it's really, greed is something spectacular. It will allow other people to push you down in the road just to make sure that they make an extra 4 quarters. It is really insane. And I'm actually really happy that at some point, hopefully this is pushed forward even quicker, that by sometime next summer, we should have a complete proof of stake network where fees on the Ethereum network core are actually just 1 cent, so we can get away from this madness, because this has also happened before on the Bitcoin network as well. It's not just simply Ethereum that this is taking place on, but it's incredibly noticeable, and I'm pretty sure that it's similar to the way that I just said. I understand that the network usage was, I'm going to get off this topic. I know that there are some people rolling their eyes. I really don't care. But I know that Ethereum's network usage was quite high before, and I don't think that we've 7x'd in network usage in about a week. It's more so, I'm pretty sure these people are hyper greedy and are trying to make sure that they make money that they think that they're not going to be able to make anymore, without even realizing that they own hundreds of thousands of Ethereum. And in the future, they're going to be able to make massive amounts of money simply by staking the coins that they own, which other people don't. You understand what I'm saying? It's a lot of greed going on. So a lot of the news is still floating around, of course, Ethereum's hard fork, how much money has been burned, the network fees. I'm seeing very little news actually about the network fees, and I think it needs to really be discussed because it's not good for the network. It's not good for the cryptocurrency market. If a lot of the market is going to be reliant on Ethereum moving upwards so that the rest of the altcoins also move upward as well, we can't move forward as a community if there's just some greedy badgers, I don't know what to call them, sitting in the corner. Ethereum news is all over the place. I only have it to 1 tab. But once again, excuse the annoyance in my voice. And I know I'll say that multiple times. It's because the news today is really quite it's stupid. It says Cardano price has skyrocketed. ADA price set to hit $2 with introduction of new token type. Sure, why not? Cardano hype is definitely real. We are moving closer to the news of when we're going to have the next update on the Cardano blockchain. I believe yesterday we had news that we're supposed to get that news today. We'll see if we actually end up getting the news. I'm expecting the price to go a lot higher. I did notice, once again, remember the last like 4 weeks we had this situation where every time the altcoins really began to pump higher, that's when Bitcoin started pulling back. When you look at the chart and you see Cardano and XRP, and I think there was one other coin, and I mean like not going up, they were pumping. I think Cardano was up by 18% and XRP was up by 22 something or other percent. You could see the Bitcoin slammed straight down. We're going to look at the chart a bit later on, of course, as well. But I really wish that the whales behind the scenes would just let other people have fun, because it's getting extremely old now. It's clearly obvious that they're manipulating the market to try and move prices down so that Bitcoin's dominance rises and Bitcoin's price, but the altcoins will still do extremely well despite all of this actually happening. I am hoping that we actually get the news today of when exactly this update is going to happen, so that the speculation can kind of leave the room and we have an exact date. And it says Bitcoin and Ethereum lack momentum. XRP tests $1. No, it's just Bitcoin that's lacking momentum. You can tell that Ethereum is desperately, continuously trying to go up. XRP and many other altcoins are doing extremely well. It's just Bitcoin, for some reason, the people moving Bitcoin's price still haven't gotten it. Anyway, that's basically all the price news. I know it was a lot, but this is all the price news that we actually have for today. There was no other altcoin really mentioned. A lot of other ones kind of went up in price, but there were no articles about them. Anyway, that's the price news. And yeah, let's move on. Next up in news, this is probably the most popular news story of the day. Everyone kind of completely lost their minds for this. Private investment management firm known as Neuberger Berman Group LLC has revealed that the company now has active exposure to cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. The multi-billion-dollar asset manager disclosed the information because they were required to in a Form 947 in order to comply with the U.S. SEC's EDGAR filing system. I think it's funny that at least 15 of the companies, sorry if I'm screaming and or talking very fast, a large number of the companies who we've heard from are now active members in the cryptocurrency space. We've only heard about this information because they were required to post a filing with the SEC. This is why I said it before. There's so many other companies. If you don't know how rich people actually hide their money, I implore you, watch a documentary about shell companies. It'll completely change your life. Or even like, what was the other thing? There's something from 10, 11, 12 years ago. Some like a leak or something like that. I don't remember what it was. You can definitely find it. So many of the companies, I think nearly every major company on the planet has active exposure to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. They are buying them themselves, but it's very easy to, I don't want to say hide the money, but you can make subsidiaries, you can make shells, you can make a whole bunch of other things to really place this money in other places. And this is what I assume these companies are doing, because you can't really think of what it would take for an asset management firm with $400 billion to actively have to come out to say, hey, we actually hold Bitcoin in some sort of way. The news being, without actually having to read through the entire thing, they themselves, I think, are now giving exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum to their wealthiest clients, or to clients in general, whatever the actual news story might be. And they're doing this through, I think, other funds that are holding Bitcoin or Ethereum. They're also trying to actively give people exposure to Bitcoin futures and Ethereum futures, and et cetera, et cetera. Here's the actual SEC filing. It looks terrible. I'm not sure why the SEC's website still looks like this. I guess they're more concerned with controlling people than actually updating their website. Like, it looks terrible. Like, this looks like this is from 1995. When was the last time you went onto a website and the information was conveyed in this manner? This looks terrible. Like, this looks absolutely horrible. But this is on the SEC's website. I know that some of it over here is cut off. That's because of the actual zoom on the recording feature. But there's the actual filing. The news, yeah. Very popular news. $400 billion investment management set to offer Bitcoin and Ethereum exposure. $400 billion and breaking money. Is anyone surprised? No, you shouldn't be. This happens all the time. The surprising news is that they are basically forced in some sort of way to actively come forward and announce that they are, they themselves, keep this in mind. This company is not simply offering exposure to their clients because they want to. They themselves are holding Bitcoin, and this is why it's really interesting when they only offer indirect exposure to their clients. And this is one of my biggest fears for people who are still not in the cryptocurrency space. What's going to happen is these people in some way will probably never have actual direct exposure to Bitcoin, which is an actual shame. What's going to happen is you, as an early adopter, are actually buying up the cryptocurrencies and holding them or nanoing them, whatever people are doing. When banks and institutions like this begin to offer it to their clients, they offer them exposure to Bitcoin, or they give them exposure to Bitcoin futures and whatever options and yada, yada, yada. So the normal clients never actually hold the Bitcoin themselves. When the US dollar and other fiat currencies collapse, these people will go and try to redeem their pieces of paper for some Bitcoin, and they will be told, I'm sorry, you had exposure to it, but here's a bucket of US dollars. That's how this works. And it's really terrible because everyone wow, they're offering it to their clients. No, they always offer exposure. Every single one of these things offers exposure in some sort of way. And that's really going to bite a large number of people in the behind in the future when they realize that they do not own any Bitcoin or Ethereum, that they're holding a paper or a digital certificate that says, hey, you own Bitcoin. And that is going to be quite a problem. Anyway, so that's the most popular news story of the day. We get this news all the time, so I'm pretty sure some of you are looking away because, just another rich company who has themselves, we can assume, purchased Bitcoin. It's like remember when the first bank came forward and they were like, yeah, we're offering Bitcoin to our clients. I was like, do you think that the bank has no Bitcoin? Or do you think that the bank has some Bitcoin and they're offering the little trickles to their clients? You don't take a bet out on something without holding it yourself. That just doesn't really make any sense. Anyway, that's that news. And let's move on. Also in very big but also quite obvious news, multinational financial services corporation Fidelity purchased a 7.4% stake in Marathon Digital Holdings, a prominent Bitcoin mining operator in North America. Fidelity spent $20 million on the shares and will reportedly spread them across 4 broad index-based funds that combined have a market cap of $170 billion. They are the Fidelity Extended Market Fund, Fidelity NASDAQ Composite, the Fidelity Total Market Index Fund, and Fidelity Shares Total Market Index Fund. These names, man. The purchase showcases a trend in 2021 of obtaining Bitcoin exposure through associated equity securities. These people, I get it, but I don't get it. It's constant exposure. These people are going to be, you know how rare Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies actually are? Marathon shares, for instance, have traded similar to the price of Bitcoin for the past year. So these Fidelity index funds will be able to gain some exposure to the price of Bitcoin without holding it directly. Have fun with that. Like really, and I tip my hat to thee if you think that's actually going to work out for you in the next 5 years. The news being, everyone's all riled up and excited that for some reason, randomly, this mega company who's been in the cryptocurrency space since 2014, yeah, look it up, has bought a 7.4% stake in a mining company. It's not surprising. I told you all that before. I said, when you hear that these companies are in the cryptocurrency space, they've been in this space for a very long time. We are not part of the board of directors. We are not part of the people who are hearing for the first time that they're actively in the cryptocurrency space. They've been doing this for years. What happens is that if you have billions of dollars, you don't make sure to say, well, guys, we bought 10 Bitcoin. Now let's just sit here and wait. I think we're gonna be rich. No, you make sure that you buy portions of Coinbase, of Kraken, of Binance. You have your hand in every single cookie jar. Why do you think they bought a 7.4% stake and not a 100% stake? Because a lot of it is already gone. It's already two other companies who are also out there trying to get into the cryptocurrency space. You make sure to hedge your bets across the entirety of the spectrum. You buy Bitcoin, you buy Ethereum, you make sure that you are exposed to Bitcoin futures, Ethereum futures, you are part of the mining company, you are part of the DeFi company, you're part of so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. Why do you think we keep hearing every single time there's like a funding round that there's always these big names a part of it as well? So when you also hold Bitcoin yourself, you want to make sure that you're also part of the company who's also creating the Bitcoin. So it just makes a lot of sense. Anyway, that's the Fidelity news. Not really much more to dig into that. Every time we get news like this, people seem very shocked and surprised. I can't believe Fidelity's doing that. They're all into it. It's just some of your friends who are not into crypto. They're probably the last people. Whenever I talk to people, you would be shocked at my interactions that I have with people. I never tell people, and you should not do this either. I don't really tell people except for you that I'm into the cryptocurrency space. I let them figure it out themselves. You should not be telling anybody how much money you have or what you're doing with your personal money. Just don't do it. But when I talk to people about retirement, you know how many people are not into the idea of retirement? Nah, it's okay. I'll save later. I'm not really into it. When I talk about cryptocurrencies, you would not believe the amount of people I sit down with and they go, well, isn't it a bubble? Isn't it a scam? I heard that only bad people are using it. And I'm like, why are you still in 2012? Like, I just really don't get it. People really don't understand what's taking place. They do not understand what's actually happening in front of their eyes or even behind their eyes or something about their eyes. Anyway, that's the Fidelity news. Once again, thank, count, love, hug your lucky stars. I don't know what phrase you want to use because you are really an early adopter. People do not understand what's actually going to take place or what's taking place before them right now and how much money is being made. But alas, let's move on. Next up, also in sure, why not news, it says Brazil continues to make progress in creating new investment opportunities related to cryptocurrencies. This week, it launched a brand new Bitcoin ETF, but with a twist, yeah. Under the ticker BITH11, it says BITH11, BITH. The hashtag NASDAQ Bitcoin reference price replicates the performance of the NASDAQ Bitcoin reference price index. Okay, this would in turn be the second ETF available in Brazil, offering 100% exposure, competing against the QRCME CF Bitcoin reference rate, or KBIT11, that was also recently approved. But Hashdex's proposal differs from its QR because it seeks to neutralize carbon emissions from the Bitcoin network or from its investments. You know, a really good way to neutralize carbon emissions is by having your government stop burning the rainforest. That does a really good job of stopping that. So this is being touted everywhere as kind of like a win-win for the cryptocurrency space. We have a lot of funds who are buying like carbon credits, and they're trying to pretend that they're doing things to save the world, but they actually don't care in any manner. So now there's an eco-friendly Bitcoin ETF called BITH11 that has launched in Brazil. And yeah, this was, of course, slightly news I missed, but it's still all over the place because everyone's like, well, look, Elon Musk, we're now doing it, as opposed to actually just, you know, planting trees or trying to do something nice because, you know, we all breathe in oxygen, and, you know, oxygen's quite good, I hear. Anyway, that's the first Bitcoin eco-friendly BITH11 ETF that launched in Brazil. I think there was something else. There's some other fund who also is trying to launch in some sort of way, but it's also through carbon credits and some other scam that's going on right now. But you can't wait. Yeah. Bitcoin ETFs launching that are now eco-friendly. Let's move on. Also in news that I don't really get, and I'm going to start keeping track of which actual websites this happens on. We keep getting news about central bank digital currencies, but they're like they're kind of like spoken about like a very positive light. It's like a very like, oh yeah, it's nice and warm, can't wait for that to happen kind of thing. It says Jamaica is aggressively progressing with the country's central bank digital currency, as the Bank of Jamaica, or the DOJ, has minted the country's first batch of central bank digital currencies. The Bank of Japan. The Bank of Jamaica officially announced that its dedicated central bank digital currency division demonstrated the process of minting digital currency at a financial ceremony on Monday. So I'm pretty sure it was just them hitting a button because, they're not actually. The issuing process for a digital version of the Jamaican dollar was carried out with participation from Jamaica's Finance Minister Nigel Clark, BOJ Governor, I'm not reading all those names, as well as a management team from something called eCurrency Mint. According to the announcement, the BOJ is planning to issue a total of 203 million Jamaican dollars, or 1.4 million US dollars, in the form of central bank digital currency to deposit taking institutions and authorized payment service providers as part of a digital currency pilot ending this December. Who cares? This is all over the place. But every single time that there's any country releasing a central bank digital currency, once again, I'm going to start paying attention to these websites. It's not written in like a realistic way. It's more like this is part of the digital revolution. Can't believe that it's happening. Everyone, please make sure to buckle your seatbelts for the ride. Kind of thing. These things are garbage. They're going to continue to be garbage. And anyone get those numbers? 203 million Jamaican dollars is 1.47 million US dollars. They're not doing anything revolutionary. They're trying to keep up with the pace of actual decentralized cryptocurrencies by making their own central bank digital currencies that are going to be digitized version of the garbage that they already have. Have you seen, and I find it quite peculiar that a large number of the countries who are really, and I mean rapidly making sure that they do this first, have you seen the actual living conditions of their citizens? And I mean that not as a joke. I mean as an actuality. There's about 5 or 6 countries so far who are rushing to make these. Wouldn't it make more sense to build up your infrastructure? Or maybe to help your people? You're desperate to digitize your garbage. Once again, same economic policies are going to follow suit. These countries and these governments are not going to be like, guys, we got to make better money to help our government. No, the system is entrenched in holding strong to debt and to making things inflate. This is how you show that your GDP is going up every single year. If you have deflation, it shows that your GDP is going down, and therefore your government and your bank aren't doing as well as last year. That is heavily in air quotes for those of you who are not looking at the screen. That's the obsession. You have to continuously inflate your money to show that you did better than last year. It's a terrible metric, and it's what the entire world runs on. So, cool. I know it won't work out for them, so there's no reason for me to actually be like, I hope it works out, because we know that it won't. Fiat currencies around the world are completely crumbling right now. All of them, like not just some of them. Like if the big dog is crumbling, they're all completely falling apart. When you digitize these things, which they are already basically digital, not many of you out there are walking around with wads of cash in your wallet. You have a card or you're tapping your phone. It is already digital. This is another way for them. What they're doing is making sure that they have complete control over the actual money supply as things are happening. When you have a central bank digital currency and it leaks into everything, and you are then required to use a digital version of their central bank digital currency, they have a big red button. If there's ever a stock market crash, they can freeze your assets. If they think that there is a bank run or you're trying to move your money around in ways that they deem not fit, they freeze all your assets. There's no longer a need for them to simply have to go and say, well, we're thinking about pushing this proposal forward. No, it looks like the economy is doing bad. Bam. Red. There's also another really terrible proposal that they're also talking about as well in many other different countries. If it looks like they're also talking about this in China, look it up. That if the economy looks like it's actually doing bad, you can move interest rates at will. There's no longer a discussion about it. You know exactly where you have to move interest rates and also be able to take money out of people's accounts. Negative interest rates. Hello, this is where we are to be able to save the economy. It's not about making a better economy for people around the world. It's keeping the old same garbage, but digitizing it. I need people to really get this, and also the people who are writing these articles, because I keep seeing them all the time, and there's never really an actual discussion about what this means for the people who are going to be forced to use these actual things in the next 5 years. I'm still hopeful that more people will continue to get into the decentralized cryptocurrency space. I'm still hopeful that a lot of people who are in the cryptocurrency space right now will make sure that we move over to proper systems so that we don't have $111 transaction fees, so that it is actually usable for all these people to use on a daily basis. But once again, greed is a terrible thing. So this is kind of where we are right now. Anyway, that's the Jamaica news. Quite popular, floating around. Everyone loves that this is happening. You know, can't wait for central bank digital currencies and the forced usage of them. Anyway, that's the Jamaica news. Let's move on. Next up, also in the news as well, a lot of people are breathing sighs of relief, or they're like, oh, buddy, you can't wait, or something like that. Crypto derivatives exchange Bitmex has agreed to pay up to $100 million to resolve a case from the U.S. Securities Commodities Futures Trading Commission, or CFTC, and from FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. In a Tuesday announcement, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission said the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York entered a consent order for HDR Global Trading Limited, 100X Holding Limited, ABS Global Trading Limited. Why the long names? To be charged with illegally operating with Bitmex. As part of the settlement with both the CFTC and FinCEN, Bitmex will pay a $100 million civil monetary penalty for illegally operating a cryptocurrency trading platform and anti-money laundering violations. In addition, the company will be required to have an independent consultant to conduct a historical analysis of its transactions to determine if it failed to properly report suspicious activity. I'm actually quite fatigued already. I don't know if I can actually rant anymore. Bitmex was one of the very few cryptocurrency exchanges who refused to kiss the ring. That is a very nice way of saying it. And what happens is, when you don't kiss the ring, like Coinbase and Gemini and other cryptocurrency exchanges who have done such, they have a whole fleet of buses drive down the road, and then they tell you to get ready, and they throw you under it. And then at the very end, when you're battered and bruised, they look at you and go, "Are you ready to pay us?" And you have to say yes. That's how the system actually works. So the news is that something that they probably didn't even do, something that was made into law 10, 15, 20 years ago, they were found to have illegally done it. And therefore, now they have to pay the piper, if you will. I had a lot more to say about this, but I simply won't say it because I actually am exhausted. This keeps happening over and over. I assume that this is what's going to happen to Ripple. I assume that the SEC is going to continue this lawsuit until they find something that they can charge Ripple with. I assume that this is going to happen to Binance. There are a lot of companies in the cryptocurrency space who, and I am not part of these companies, I don't know if they have or have not done anything wrong. It's more so I find a lot of these things quite peculiar, that these things aren't happening to other companies. But to other, anyway, the point of the matter is that regulators are desperately looking for ways to remain relevant. If you realize that an algorithm can take your job, it makes you a little annoyed. So what do? Is you try to find the way to regulate the algorithm. You say, hey, we should have control over that because it's trying to have control over us. Hey, these things are creating money. We made money. We tell people what money is, and therefore we should have control over that new money that we have no actual hand in creating. This also happened as well for those of you who were not paying attention. Someone from the SEC, I'm not really sure exactly who it was, said that the SEC should have jurisdiction over all cryptocurrency exchanges. Not some of them, but all of them. They want control over the transactions. They want to know where everything is going. They want control over DeFi, which lets me know that these people are out of their mind. Because the idea of DeFi, and I'll even scroll back to that in a minute as well. The premise of DeFi, or being decentralized, means you have no single point of failure, or there is no actual head of the dragon, no head of the snake. There is no leader. It's decentralized. You have 9,000 nodes around the world. You unplug 4,000 of them. Well, guess what, buddy? It's still actually going. You cannot walk into an office and tell anyone, hey, stop this DeFi nonsense and rah, 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 rah. Scrolling back, this actually happened about 2 days ago. I didn't have the news here because it seemed unnecessary. There have been a lot of DeFi, wink, wink, companies who've been taken in by the SEC or have actually been gotten in trouble and all these other things. It's the same exact thing. I told you this was going to happen. Same as the ICO space that happened in 2017. A lot of these companies are not DeFi. They have an office, they have a working computer, and this is how they're actually running their operation. But that's also completely besides the point. The SEC has realized that they have no actual purpose in any of this. The entire point of the SEC being in the cryptocurrency space is to regulate securities. The SEC said in 2016, 17, and 18, if a company or if a cryptocurrency can prove itself to be properly decentralized, well, then the SEC has no ruling governance over said coins. They announced this for Bitcoin. They announced this for Ethereum. They announced something similar to it for XRP in 2016, in the beginning of 2017, and then made a U-turn for some odd reason with Ripple as well. They did it for, the point of the matter is the SEC has very little power. And the power that they do have goes down to things that are in the DeFi space, or for token drops, or for other things. Basically, the SEC governs anything that you have purchased, that you purchased with an expectation of profit that isn't properly decentralized within the cryptocurrency space. But what happens if everything mathematically is properly decentralized? What if there are multiple nodes and no single point of failure? What power does the SEC have? I know they can control cryptocurrency exchanges because this is where the coins are actually flowing back and forth through. But what happens when people start using decentralized exchanges or DeFi platforms? Well, we need to have control over that now. I think the next 15 years are going to be quite spectacular when it comes to money. I think a lot of people in the cryptocurrency space are paying so much attention to the prices of these coins, but not the actual battles that are happening right in front of our very eyes. We see every day that the US dollar is not doing well. Wasn't a multi-trillion-dollar thing just passed through the US Congress or the Senate or whatever other layers of something that it has to pass through? And that's also going to cause the US dollar to inflate a lot more as well. We see tons of companies rushing head first to get into the cryptocurrency space to make sure that they have not only exposure, but that they're actually holding these cryptocurrencies. This is why it's also very important that we have all of these companies from years ago who were buying tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin, and they were locking them away. Why do you think it's interesting that we have these addresses that keep accumulating Bitcoin but aren't taking any Bitcoin out? Because they're trying to have as much Bitcoin as humanly possible. We are going to move to a future where laws are on a blockchain, where they will be able to govern themselves, and they will be able to say what is, air quotes, right and wrong immediately because it's a computer. So much of the old system is still in the 1920s, and that's not an actual joke. We are still living by SEC laws that started in 1927. So much of the world just doesn't make sense. Any type of progress that we actually could have is always hindered by people in power who are trying to maintain this power. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be regulated or that, illegal ICOs and stuff like that shouldn't be taken away, which they most certainly should because it's terrible for the space, but work with us. You trying to get control over the entire space is only going to cause more people to go to DeFi or to decentralized exchanges. Why do you think we keep seeing these uptick in measurements for people who are using DeFi or these other platforms that are hyper decentralized? So the news is, on top of the other bill that was trying to or may have been passed through about crypto taxation and them trying to make sure that you cannot and you will not follow every single transaction happening on these networks, because at some point they're all going to have private transactions. I can't make this any clearer. It's like, I was going to say it's like talking to a wall, but I think even the wall at some point would grow lips and tell me to shut up. Like, I think it would also eventually understand me. There's so much of a power struggle that's happening right in front of us. People are going to have ultimate control over their money in the future. I'm not sure if it's going to happen in 5 years, and 10 years, or 15 years, and it's going to happen because of blockchain. Fiat currencies, and that includes digital fiat currencies, are going to completely collapse. I'm not saying anything revolutionary here. I'm not saying anything absolutely crazy. Tons of economists are also saying the exact same thing. We cannot have the same system. It will not continue going on forever. All the things that we have, you seen, there's, oh gosh, what is it? I think someone made like a robo judge or something like that. Like, it's not like an actual robot, but it's an algorithm that has been fed all these different things from lawsuits and cases and judges and blah, all the things from court cases. And it has all the memory of that instantaneously. Like, it doesn't have to be a 75-year-old person sitting at a table with a powdered wig on with a gavel in their hand being like, well, I don't think that's... No, it'll know immediately right from wrong or whatever is based on the algorithm. It's so exhausting sometimes. Like, am I the only one who goes through this? Like, it's really... You can tell we could be so much further. And I mean, as an entire society... But it's always down to human stupidity and human greed that we're always being held back in every single course of action. And I'm not going to mention these things because they're not relevant to the cryptocurrency space. But why is it that when something goes wrong, we have to vote on it for 3 years? And then when the vote is over, it gets sent to this place. And then they sign it. And then another place has to sign it. And then it goes to someone else and they go... I don't like this. Like, send it back to the drawing board. And then we constantly get pushed back. What if there had been a situation in 2016 and 17 where the SEC sat down with these companies and said, what is this? Tell us what it is. We don't control it, but we are going to try and make sure that you are in some way compliant. What is this new thing that's happening? It looks like people are being defrauded. Help us work with you so that we can make sure that the American people or the German people or the British people, wherever has another SEC, that they're not being taken advantage of. But instead, it comes down to this. No, we can't control this. We have to control everything. We don't have... Why are we not controlling that? It's exhausting. It's every single thing. It's always a contest to see who has the bigger blockchain. You know exactly what I'm talking about, and I did not mean to say blockchain. So the news is, yes, this is a blatant power grab. If you try to control all cryptocurrency exchanges, people will simply move away. Why don't you understand that people are tired of being stepped on? I don't get what this is. And even when we have a digital dollar, people are not going to be using it. They're going to be told that they have to use it the same exact way they have to use the US dollar. But if the current trend is any indication, and we have in 5 years, the Lightning Network has really picked up. And there's also a Litecoin Lightning Network, and Ethereum has finally gotten it together. And maybe we're at Ethereum 3.0 at that point. People are going to be using these coins that they're making passive income from. They're not going to even think about using your fiat currencies anymore. Exhausting. I can't be the only one. I have these conversations with my friends sometimes, both in and out of crypto. And I feel like what's the word? Like, I feel like I'm sitting there with an actual like mega sized tinfoil hat because no one else seems to care. How do you not care about your money losing value? How do you not care about you might remember this from a couple of years ago. There were a lot of restrictions if you were moving money around through your bank account. You couldn't move more than, I think it was 250,000 without not alarms, but as long as you had a valid case. That dropped to 100,000. That dropped to 50,000. Now we have a lot of banks who are asking people, why are you moving around $5,000? How do you not care about retirement? How do you not care that you're going to get older? How do you not care that housing prices are skyrocketing right now because they're being bought up by all the mega companies to make sure that no one else can actually own it? There's so many things happening around us all the time, and everyone's like, well, it'll sort itself out. I don't get it. It's this hyper complacency that is why we're basically in the situation right now. 5 countries came together in the 1940s and told the rest of the world that they would have to use the US dollar. Now everyone's like, wait, we have to use the US dollar? Anyway, properly exhausted. I mean, just I've completely drained myself. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I like to believe that the future is going to be relatively bright. I hope that this is brought about by actual economic sovereignty, by people being able to use and move and choose to do what they want to do with their money. This is why since we're on the topic, I've been having a lot of thoughts, not about moving so much, which but about like why countries like Monaco have done extremely well for themselves. And it comes down to like taxation and kind of like taxing things that people are going to do instead of like actually taxing people's income. And I don't know. I have a lot of stuff always going through my head, but yeah, I decided to save them here because it's like, you know, maybe somebody else out there will actually also understand what I'm saying. I don't understand why progress takes 20 years as opposed to a day. But maybe at some point I'll be able to figure that out. I don't have my phone with me. I woke up this morning and my phone had 4% battery and I was like, maybe I should charge this. So I don't have the actual Patreon names and I dare not even try to remember all of them. But thank you very much for all the support. I should have my phone back with me charged by tomorrow. At the moment, Bitcoin is down by 2%. Ethereum is down by 2.7%. It's the same exact movement, down, down, down. It's the same thing over and over. Every time the altcoins look like or are doing extremely well, Bitcoin has a fit, begins to fall down. But apparently, allegedly, according to all the websites I've been reading about, we are now firmly back in this uptrend, as is indicative by Bitcoin's price rising past 42,000 and staying above there for a number of days. Cardano is still up by 2%. XRP is still up by 13% as well. This is the movement down to bring the entire market down. It worked very well on Cardano, but I think that'll be completely torn apart and moved away from if we get proper news today as to when this upgrade is going to happen. Dogecoin is also up by 3%. Not really sure why. There's so many Doge clones floating around right now. It's actually kind of embarrassing for the market. There's like a baby Doge, there's a baby Shiba, there's a Shiba baby, there's a doggy baby, and people just keep making them and throwing their money into them and then being like, I don't understand why I'm losing money. It's because you keep putting your money into garbage. Ethereum Classic is up by 2%. Lumens is up by 3%. This happens all the time. When Ethereum pumps, Ethereum Classic tries to go up. When XRP goes up, Lumens tries to do the exact same thing. Matic is up by 8%. Filecoin is up by 3%. Tron is up by 7%. What was the Tron news? Don't remember. It was the news from yesterday. Their video game fund or something like that. Clay is up by 12%. EOS is up by a tiny bit. No reason why. I think we are maybe getting very close to the EOS crypto exchange, which I'm excited to see because I know that's gonna listen. I am certain. So for those of you who don't know, a couple of weeks ago we had news that EOS, the people from EOS, Block One, are trying to make their own cryptocurrency exchange, I believe it was, or a cryptocurrency something platform, and they're calling it Bullish. Right, I know, kind of cringy, but it is what it is. I'm almost certain this is either going to be, it is either going to be the best platform that we have ever seen in the cryptocurrency space, or it's going to be absolute garbage. Because if it's any indication as to what they were trying to make with Voice, for those of you who weren't here for Voice, they were trying to make a social media platform where you had to upload ID to be able to use it. Don't lie to me. You can find it right now. People were telling me in the comment section, they were like, you don't have to upload ID. I read the news every day. I remember exactly what it said. If you wanted to verify yourself, you had to give them identification so they knew that it was you, so that when you post something, it's not someone else pretending to be you. I remember exactly what it said, and this is why nobody used it. So when they make a cryptocurrency exchange, which I believe is supposed to have EOS as its base pair, hopefully they're still doing that because, it's all up in the air with these people. Actually use EOS as a base pair and really, have proper fees. Proper cheap fees. Because remember, don't forget, Coinbase sometimes when you're staking or doing something on their platform, they have 25% fees. Why is it so difficult for people to not be greedy? Like what's in the water that I'm actually missing? Imagine a situation where you make a cryptocurrency exchange that's using EOS, and you also make a a DeFi portion of it, like a little button that says DeFi. You can click up here for NFTs. You can trade cryptocurrencies over here. You make sure that this platform from the get-go has 1,000 nodes around the world. A good 1,000. Can't be shut down. Make it so that there's an app that people can download. And when you download the app, you get a free 5 EOS as a thank you for it. And your phone is then running a node. By the end of the year, you have 300,000 plus more or so other nodes running on this network. It can't be shut down. It's properly decentralized. You're completely out of the view of the SEC. And you make sure that your fees are 5% lower than the lowest cryptocurrency fees on the market. How many people would use it? Right here, raising my hand immediately. It would be secure. It would be safe. It would use an actual decentralized cryptocurrency, on the name of that, and also have extremely low fees. How much do you want to bet none of that's going to happen? I think Bullish is supposed to launch sometime towards the end of this year. How much do you want to bet that's going to happen? What was the other thing that somebody else was saying? Hold on. Somebody was in the comment section a day or two ago and tried to call me out on something. I don't remember what it was. Oh gosh, I don't remember what it was. I can't remember. I think it had something to do with XRP. I think it was something along the lines of like, why don't I talk about XRP anymore? Or like my XRP bags or something like that. I don't know. It was something nonsensical. Go get a life. The point is, I haven't sold any of my cryptocurrency. I have not. I still have all of it. I continue to accumulate. I told you all before, it is imperative that you have a cash out number. I have a cash out number for a lot of my coins. I plan on selling 25% of all the coins that I actually have. Just so I can make, yeah. And there was another person telling me that had I lost faith in cryptocurrency because I was cashing out into fiat. No, I just want nice things. I want to buy other rental property. I want to be able to travel around a bit more. I want to be able to buy more art. These are the things that I'm into. And I don't think that's necessary for me to hodl to infinity and beyond with my cryptocurrencies. Don't let anybody bully you into thinking that you have to hold your cryptocurrency forever. I'm still going to have 75% of what I currently have, but I think it would be nice to, have another apartment in Spain or maybe in Italy or some other place because, I also like nice things. So that's just, talking about that. I see so many little like snarky comments in the comment section. And I don't know if you know or have not been here before, but for those of you who've been here for the last couple of years, I don't care. I'll call people out immediately. Do you think you're hurting my feelings by saying these things to me? Or I don't know what people think they're doing, but it doesn't work on me. Peer pressure doesn't work on me. People have been trying since I was a little kid. It just simply does not work. Just going to throw that out there. BitTorrent is still up by 12% as well. I assume this has to do off the back of the Tron news. IOTA's up by 1% as well. Yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. There was a lot to cover. Sorry for the annoyance in my voice. I like when we have like actual happy news days where the news actually kind of makes sense. But this was this was all over the place. And you wouldn't believe the amount of news that I also kept out of this video because it was far too stupid to even talk about. There are so many other really dumb things happening within the cryptocurrency space. But alas, here we are. I do hope you all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.